Really excited about today's video. We met with Jeff Coltis of Coltis Evaluations talking about a critical function in selling your home, the appraisal. We learned some great stuff about living area, about finding comparable sales, about adjustments, all critical information that you should understand, and a good listing agent will help you know so that you can price your home right so it sells quickly for top dollar. Hey, I'm here with Jeff Coltis today with Coltis Evaluations. Jeff, why do you hate agents and sellers?
I don't hate them at all. I love everybody.
I know that. I think the appraisers fulfill a great function of the real estate process, but I think it's kind of misunderstood. So if you would, share with us a little bit about things you think would be important for an agent and a seller to understand about the appraisal process so they're better positioned to get the outcome they're looking for when you come out to do your appraisal report.
The biggest thing that I see is understanding what gross living area is. The agents that I see go by price per square foot, and the price per square footage is skewed when the number is off. So we want to talk about what is gross living area. The first thing is it has to be accessible from the inside of the house. You can't walk outside of the house to walk back into. And if you leave air conditioning it back into it, it would not be considered gross living area. The second thing is it has to be the same quality of construction as the rest of the house. So if you've got a detached quarters or a garage apartment that you finished out the garage apartment, but you still have the concrete floor and things of that nature, or you have the garage door is still in, but you've sheetrocked over it. You still have the railings. It has to be the same quality of construction as the rest of the house. And the third thing is it has to be under the same heating and air conditioning. I get this question a lot about you consider the AC, if it has mini splits, is that the same as central heating and air conditioning?
Great question.
I do. I think that I like the mini splits because they are very efficient and they put out just as much as a central heating and air conditioning. But if you have that garage apartment and or garage that you finished out and you put a window unit in the side of it, that would not be considered gross living area. So going back, the three things are accessible from the inside, same heating and air conditioning, and the same quality construction.
Great. So I think those are great points. Now, just to be clear, if someone had a detached space, there could be value. It just won't be valued as at the same rate as the main living structure. Have I got that right?
That is correct. Yes, it's much discounted. It's whatever. It's like a pool. It's whatever the buyer is willing to pay for this pool or for this detached quarters.
Yeah, I think you just touched on something that's really helpful right there for people to understand. Cost and value are two separate things.
That is correct.
So I talk to people that have put in a $20,000 outdoor kitchen or they spent $80,000 on the pool. Their assumption is, I'm going to get exactly that money back, maybe more, and it's not the case. Can you kind of walk us through why that is?
So let's talk a little bit. You said the outdoor kitchen. I think the best analogy for this is a pool. I would, if I was going to put a pool in my house, I would buy a house with a pool. They're terrible investments. They're great for you. If you look at them, quality of time, if you have a family and you want to spend time with the family, great. You can't put a dollar figure on that, right?
Right, exactly.
But as far as if you spend $100,000, you can get to a pool right now and spend $100,000 pretty quickly.
Pretty easily.
I'm seeing that it's a very discounted rate just because it costs $100,000 to put the pool in. It's whatever a buyer is willing to pay for it. It might only be $40,000 or $50,000 that you get back out of that.
Yeah, the term I've always heard is substitution, that the further you would try to go up on that price, now buyers have other choices and they might go to another neighborhood. Maybe it's in a better school district. Maybe it's got a gate. Maybe it's got a big community center. So that's why you just can't stick on $100,000 because buyers are going to peel off and go other places as you go up on your price. Do I understand that right?
Yes, you do. Know your market. Yep. If your market is you're in a subdivision that says it caps out at $500,000 and this pool puts you to $580,000. Now they're going to go and look in a better subdivision that has more amenities or a better quality of construction. Just know where you never want to buy the nicest house in the neighborhood, right?
That's an axiom. That's a tried and true thing. Let me ask you this, to ask the question maybe from a little different angle. What are you seeing for investments that are probably like the best bang for your buck, where maybe it's less money out of pocket, however, you're going to get as much as possible back when you go to sell the property? What would you recommend looking at as a seller?
There are a couple things. The kitchens and the bathrooms are the two biggest return on investment. If there's a way that you can add square footage, knock out a wall, add square footage. A lot of times when you're inside the city, you're talking about permits and all that stuff, and it gets expensive. If you wanted to just remodel your kitchen, or remodel your bathrooms, that's the best bang for your buck.
Okay, excellent. That's really great information. So Jeff, I've been doing this a while, and I really focus on getting the price right when I list it, so my sellers don't have to drop the price a bunch and get a low ball offer. What are some of your thoughts or advice or tips for sellers when they're checking on Zillow, for agents when they're in MLS, trying to find comparable homes? What are some of the guidelines that you think they should look at?
That's a great question. I would look at similar market participants. If you are, as an agent, you were going out and you were going to show, let's say, 7 homes, and you would print them off for that day.
Right.
You would use that, you would say that's a similar market participants. I am seeing you need to be really in tune with your market and your subdivisions and what they're doing. If there's certain subdivisions that are increasing in value, there are certain subdivisions that are decreasing in value. As a whole, the San Antonio area is pretty stable, but know your market. And if you are moving pretty fast one way or the other, up or down, you need to stay definitely within 3 months.
Right.
I would rather see a market that's changing be shorter in time versus if you're looking at your subdivision and the subdivision is pretty stable, but there's only 2 sales in the subdivision or 3 sales, and you see, well, it's they're only going up and maybe 1% a year or whatever. Then you can go back in time, maybe 6 months or 9 months, and jump to another subdivision that has the same quality of construction, same type of builders, same floor plans, same square footage. But that's the main thing is if you see that it's moving a lot, then you need to be in a shorter period of time. But if you see it's stable, then you can go back and jump to another neighborhood that has similar market.
Gotcha. So what I think I hear is we use the acronym or shorthand comps. So the houses you're looking at truly need to be comparable.
Yes,
they need to be very similar.
Don't jump to another neighborhood just because you want to get more value.
Yeah.
That's what I see a lot of people, a lot of agents will say, well, my seller thinks that this house is worth 600, and I know that we're at the top of the market at 550, and this neighborhood doesn't really, that's the highest sale is 550, so I'm going to go to another neighborhood to get one that's $600,000 just to get this value to up to $600,000.
Yeah.
Stay inside your neighborhood if there's enough sales.
Yeah, I like to say that the data will set you free. The numbers are what they are, and I believe you can't start with a number in mind that you try and make up a justification for. You have to look at the numbers and see what the story is being told.
Yeah, the worst thing you can do is start this process with a number already in your head.
Okay, great. Another important part of the process, we know we want to get comparable homes as similar as possible, but they're all unique. They're all a little bit different from each other. So how do you walk through the process of maybe one house does have the outdoor kitchen, the other one doesn't, but otherwise they're similar. One house has the pool, the other one doesn't. One house might have a 2-car garage, the other one has a 3-car garage. So just as an overview basis, how do you approach when homes are similar but do have differences?
Well, it's called a paired sales analysis, and you can do this for anything, for a half bath, a full bath, a garage, a pool. So let's take this pool as this example. You've got one house is selling for $500,000,
Right.
and it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 3,000 square foot house. You have one that's very similar, maybe around within 100 square feet of the property, but it has a pool and it's selling for $550,000.
Right.
So you line them up, you say, okay, well, the only thing you're trying to find paired sales, which are very similar in all aspects except for one. You're solving for this one thing. And the difference between the sales price is going to be what the value of whatever that is. So this pool in this example is worth $50,000.
Yeah, I hear references to adjustments. So that's really the process of isolating that one component and figuring out the value. Have I got that right?
That is correct.
Jeff, maybe in summary, one other little tip I think is important, and I'll ask your opinion on this. When I meet with clients, a lot of times they are on Zillow or Realtor.com, et cetera, and they are focusing on active listings. But my experience is not that you shouldn't look at that, but the real goal is in looking at what's sold, because that's actually happened. So any thoughts or ideas you'd want to share on that?
In the appraisal world, listings are set for what's called the law of substitution.
Right.
You would never pay more for a house inside the neighborhood. Like if you're appraising it and you're trying to come up to a value for a property, and all your sales are showing that it's at $500,000 again, and there's a sale, same floor plan in the subdivision that's selling for $470.
Right.
Well, you can't go over that $470 because as soon as as soon as you say, okay, well, we're going to list this thing at 500, but there's another property in there that you're going to be competing with
Right.
at 470,
Right.
That's going to be a problem. So we use listings for law substitution, but you can ask whatever you want for listings. Doesn't
Sure.
mean that it's worth it.
Doesn't mean you're going to get it. I've seen that over the years. So maybe last thought, just from a process standpoint, is around when the appraisal happens. Because as an agent, I get a house under contract. We start with the inspections. And from there, when we've negotiated repairs, I generally connect with the lender and say, we're good to go with the appraisal. So that's probably somewhere a week into the transaction. So from there, when you get the call from the lender, talk about kind of estimated times on a turnaround on something like that.
Turnaround time is about a week. We are kind of one of the last pieces of the puzzle, because you don't want to pay the appraisal fee and then the house doesn't fall through. So obviously you want to be out of option period. I always tell people, get with a good lender.
Right.
The lender is going to be your saving grace, because they're going to know, okay, this person qualifies, their debt to income ratio, they're pre-qualified for everything. So let's go ahead and get the appraisal ordered first.
Right.
I don't care if it's out of option period or not, because I really think that they know that they want this property.
Right.
Good lender will order the appraisal usually after the option period is over. As soon as that's done, we get the order from the bank, and we'll be out there within a day or two, and it'll take about a week to complete. But once the appraisal is received from the bank, they have to go through underwriting and all that stuff. So it takes not only us to get the appraisal done, it has to be underwritten by the bank, and sometimes that takes a little bit of time. So that's one of the longer pieces of the puzzle.
Good info. I appreciate that. And I'll just kind of summarize. I know we joked a little bit about the appraiser being the heavy and the bad guy, but I think that comes from people not understanding. I actually tremendously value appraisers, because you're out there protecting to make sure the loans made or the house is worth the value. And we don't want to repeat the 2008 mortgage meltdown where we had homes selling for way above what the true valuation was. So I think you guys fill an important role, and I think a smart agent coaching their seller would understand this is what's coming in the process, properly analyze the comparable sales, and come up with a listing price that's going to match the appraisal. Because the phrase I love to hear, and you probably hear this, is I want to hear, we made value.
Clear to close. I like that.
That's a good one too. Hey, thank you so much for your time and information today, Jeff. Great job. So I hope you found that information valuable. I hope you like and subscribe, and go ahead and hit the notification bell for other very important topics on how to get your home sold smart in San Antonio, Texas. Until next time, I'm Mark Stillings with Real, and I look forward to helping you get your home sold smart in San Antonio, Texas.